My husband was amazing with me when I was pregnant with my second child. He was there right from day one. He read a lot of information from the APP website. He understood about what I went through the first time round, even though he wasn't there.
Yeah, he was just there. He didn't leave me. He visited every weekend. He just was complete support. And afterwards, when I was discharged, so I was in the mother and baby for 3 months, and I kind of think, gosh, like everything he went through separated from like our son as well, and you know, he had to give up all that knowing that trusting that I would get better.
He took lots of time off work. His employer was really kind about that. He took notes for me when I just couldn't manage, and he spoke out for me when I couldn't open my mouth to speak.
When I was acutely unwell in the first few weeks, I think my husband found it incredibly difficult to deal with. He had a vision, we both had a vision of what life with a new baby would have been like, and psychosis did not feature in that plan at all. So he was catapulted into a horrendous nightmare of a wife who wasn't functioning as a person, who, you know, was completely delusional, hallucinating, at times catatonic, and he had to witness that and also be the one to organise the help that I needed.
I became ill very quickly, very acutely, so 3 days after my son was born, and I went into A&E, so he took me into A&E. It was him that phoned the midwives, and they phoned the ambulance, and I just completely lost it. It wasn't like I was having a few strange thoughts. I was just like, wasn't able to, like, I was just sitting holding my son, not doing anything, and he, obviously had to sit like through all that, keep his stuff, you know, get my stuff together, get my son together, went off in an ambulance, and then in A&E I was apparently screaming for him to leave the room, that I didn't want him and my son anywhere near me, but he stayed there the whole time. He phoned my parents, he phoned his parents, he was obviously dealing with all the doctors and nurses and people talking to him, trying to be with my son as well.
So he was obviously the one who was at the height of all the drama when things went wrong, so he called the ambulance. He was the one that took me back to the birth unit where I'd had my daughter, and he sat there whilst I had the shocking diagnosis of postpartum psychosis. And really, you know, if I could sum it up, he held my hand through the whole experience, really.
We actually, after I was recovering and I came out of hospital, we did go for counselling because we needed to become that family unit, which we weren't. I'd been poorly. He'd had to take over my role, and luckily in his job they allowed him to have leave.
I think it's important for husbands and partners to always accept the help that is offered. Don't try and do everything on your own. Try to visit your partner as much as you feel able to, but remember that they're in a good place. If they're in a mother and baby unit, as I was and my son was, they're being well looked after. So don't feel that you need to be there all the time.
I just want to say a huge thank you to my partner, who was just there for me, who was supportive, who'd, you know, even when I was depressed and just sitting there not doing anything, just stayed with it. And through all the mother and baby unit, he said how much he loved me and that he wouldn't leave me. Thank you.
I just want to thank my husband. He was absolutely fantastic with me, not just only when I was pregnant, during the labour and afterwards, for the whole 6 months afterwards. And I definitely wouldn't have recovered like I did without that support.
It just makes me feel so lucky to have him, and for my son to have him as a dad. I think everything's going to be fine.